is one of those wintertime donks that we catch, dude, and you just speared it.
Oh, it's cool.
Wow, he came up, was eyeing me. I was like, I hope he's ready. I started pointing.
Struggling in the beginning to get mine.
Yeah, thankfully, I know I told Hunter, I was like, when I go down, be ready, because I'm gonna shoot something like a jack, and that gets their curiosity sparked, and they'll kind of come up out of that murk. And that dive, I didn't even have to shoot anything. I just went down and this thing came up looking.
Up. He pointed at it. I went
You
down.
were ready.
I was ready, man. That last time I didn't see him when you shot that. I didn't see him that first time too.
Yeah.
When I went and shot at him.
Pro tip in spearfishing, anytime there's commotion, say someone shoots a fish, be ready, because that sparks curiosity of fish you want to shoot usually. So, that's probably your biggest speared red snapper, huh?
Oh, definitely. Definitely.
Heck yeah. That is number 3. We need one more, and then we're gonna go try to spice it up, shoot some other stuff.
Ooh. I was having a little struggle at the beginning of the day.
It didn't even go through.
Yeah. Having a little bit of a struggle.
There it is. Dude, I'd guess 15 pounds for sure. That's a 15-pound red snapper.
It's a big snapper.
On the spear. Look at that. That is a hammer. That's a way to kick off the snapper season, huh?
Definitely. Saw one little rock on here.
Oh yeah, I saw that too on my descent.
One little one.
Alright. I guess I just want to slide in that corner. That's where the most ice is. Dude, that is a hammer.
I'll hold it up. Try to zip.
I just want to get some ice on top of them too. Alright, cool deal.
Cool.
So real quick before I forget, you guys have been asking me how I've been liking the panga with the remod, and honestly, I have been loving every second of it. Center console is definitely the way. See, if you guys are new here, I used to drive this boat tiller, and all I have to say is I'm a lot drier up here in the center of the boat. There's more mass towards the bow. You know, I'm not sitting in the back, so it's actually more bow heavy, which makes the boat slap less. I can actually punch through waves a bit more since it is heavier up there. But also being in the center of the boat, you know, I'm stable. I'm not getting tossed around. I feel very safe even when it's rough. So yeah, I just want to give y'all a quick update on that. Welcome back. My name is Braden Sharon. If you guys are new here, I do a lot of offshore spearfishing and fishing in the Gulf of Mexico, primarily out of my panga boat. And in this one, we are back offshore at the oil rigs. This is part 2 of a full day of diving. I divided this trip into 2 separate videos. And at this point, I have 2 red snapper on the boat. That is my limit. And I'm not planning on shooting any more at this point. I have quite a bit of fish in the freezer, so I don't need any. So that is why we're not going to be going after these mangroves. This rig is covered in them. But I'm really just checking out this zone. I haven't dove these rigs since last summer, so I just want to check out what's going on, see what fish are home, swimming around, and enjoy diving the rigs. Basically, I'm only going to shoot if I see something super special. Otherwise, I'm just scoping everything out, and then later on, I talked about in the last video, I'm actually going to pick up the Polespear and give a whirl at that, just to change things up, make it more of a challenge, and get some practice with it. For those of y'all who are new here, the majority of the fish you're seeing here are mangrove snapper. They are super good to eat. But as I said, I'm not shooting any more snapper today. So we're letting them swim. Back here, I spot a juvenile Cobia snapper. Something I'm super shocked to see in this zone. I've never seen one on this rig before. It's about the size of the mangrove, so it's pretty hard to make out if you don't have a trained eye. But I have no intention of shooting this one. These things grow super large, and the only way for them to get big is to pass the little ones and let them grow. I'm a strong advocate for letting these fish grow. There's just not as many Cobias as there are mangroves or red snapper, so I try to be very selective if I'm going to shoot one. Cobias are known in the spearfishing world to be a super prized fish. They're very elusive and really just sought after. And if you're wondering, yes, they do in fact taste great even when they are giant. But I will reiterate, there's not as many of them as mangrove snapper or red snapper, so I want to be really picky if I am going to decide to take one and make sure it's a big mature one. Here, while I was hovering with all these mangroves around me, I actually didn't even see two cobia out in the distance. This is often an issue I have diving the rigs when there's, say, a bunch of spadefish or like here a bunch of mangroves. There will be so many that you can't see through to what you're actually trying to look at. Here I noticed this mangrove looks like it's been shot before. It had a tear in the top of its back. But fish are very resilient. I've seen much, much worse, and fish are still swimming around. So here is the next dive. I swam to the far end of the rig, and check this out. Another Cobia snapper. This one quite a bit larger than the last. But this is super cool and awesome to see. You can notice they have a very distinct flick of their tail. And you can kind of get an idea of the difference between the mangroves and the Cobias when they're about the same size here. So that was pretty cool. Once again, I have no intention of shooting it. I really want to see these things grow. And here I spot those same two cobia and a shark actually swimming through the rig, but I'm at the end of my breath hold, so I'm swimming up, pointing to Hunter. Overall, that was just a wild, wild dive. Here I'm catching back up to those cobia. This one in the front is a fat, big one. But quite honestly, I couldn't bring myself to shoot with the spear gun. It was kind of just cool to check these fish out swimming around the rig. right, quick snack break. Thanks to Coach Steinbrook, we got some awesome meat sticks. These are honestly like the best offshore. Getting some much needed protein in between dives. So after scoping out the rig, I decide to put the gun down, hop in with a Polespear, and get some much needed practice. This is the spear I used in the Bahamas, and let me just say, pole spearing is a completely different game than with the spear gun. It is a lot harder. I start out shooting at these jacks. This one I hit a bit high, and I put the heat on it, which ultimately ended up in me losing it. But I was trying to avoid too much commotion. The sharks this day were pretty wound up, so I was trying to eliminate as much vibration as I could. Here's round two. Hit this jack in the belly, which is not a great shot either. This thing takes off, but this shot was just good enough to hold, and I'm able to get it up.
I have a terrible shot with a pole spear. That's why we're practicing though. Straight gut shot. That's also a lot bigger jack than I thought it was going to be.
So while I was pulling that jack up, a shark had followed it up, and I just assumed it was a spinner shark. But when I got back in the water, I realized it was a bull shark. So I decided to stop shooting the jacks. I didn't really feel like messing around with hungry bull sharks and thrashing jacks. So I decided to go into the rig and try to hone in my aim on one of these mangrove snapper. Now, I know I said I wasn't going to go after any more snapper, but given that I have a pole spear in hand, I decide to give it a whirl here. I'm definitely not going to shoot a jack in the rig because I don't want to have to worry about it tangling all up if it runs. It would have to be a stone shot to really not give me a headache. But the goal is mangrove snapper. I've never shot one on pole spear before, so I thought it'd be pretty cool to be able to get it done. But now I actually spot those same cobia from earlier. In my head, I'm not going to shoot these things. I'm going after mangrove. But the more I sit and look at this big one, the more I think maybe, just maybe if it presents a shot, I'll shoot it. You know, I've been wanting to shoot a cobia with a pole spear, and this opportunity is just too good. I let it rip. Fish takes off. I'm filled with instant regret because I know this fish went straight to the bottom, inside the rig. And this is going to be a major headache. But real quick, Hunter had his GoPro rolling, and he has a third-person angle of the shot. There you can see me coasting down there, checking out the cobia. And if you just go down and sit Oftentimes, those things will swim right in. If you chase them, they'll start swimming away, but if you just stop and pay them no mind, they come in just like that and come in close enough for a Polespear shot. So I thought that was pretty cool. I had my drag on my belt reel really tight, so I struggled a little bit swimming up, getting that adjusted. And this was the beginning of the mayhem of untangling this fish down on the bottom in the murk around all the rig legs.
Why'd I do that? Why'd I do that?
You know, typically I restrain from shooting big cobia at depth for this exact reason. And this is even more of a dumb situation considering we had these fish up at the surface and I had a spear gun in my hand. I could have literally domed it. But here we are with it tangled up at the bottom with a $600 Polespear with a super dense, nasty murk layer. So here's my first recovery dive attempt. I actually pulled my belt reel off, looped it around a rig leg, and just following the line down. And I will just say this was super sketchy. I did not enjoy 1 second of this because if you can tell, at this point, I cannot see anything. I'm down here trying to figure out how to untangle this cobia, which is also alive. And it just makes me super uneasy. I get a hold of the spear here, but I'm not able to figure out what exactly it's wrapped around. So we're gonna have to go back down and give it another go.
When I got to the Polespear, I just can't see what the it's stuck on.
You can't see the what?
I got to the Polespear, but I can't see what it's stuck on because it's so murky.
So here's dive number 2. I'm really trying to get relaxed at the surface in between dives here because, you know, this isn't a conventional dive. I'm going down, not only having to get to the depth, but figure out and untangle this Polespear. And this murk starts about 15 feet from the bottom. Here I feel that fish tugging. I see the beam here, just barely. That cobia is thrashing. I absolutely hate this situation right here. So many things can go wrong. You know, I can't see what I'm doing. There's a live fish and there's a line that I can get tangled on. So I was actually trying to unclip the slip tip from the Polespear so I can at least grab the fish or the Polespear and get it up. But having that fish thrash around really just gets me out. I'm not trying to get tangled up and drown at the bottom. Hunter would not even be able to see me. So I got out of there. And at this point, I'm starting to get very nervous about this because I've made 2 dives and I've made what I feel like no headway. This fish is stuck down there. I don't know what it's stuck around, and it is deep in a nasty cloud of murk, still alive. So this is dive 3. I'm hoping for a miracle here, hoping I can figure something out. You know, I pulled really hard that last dive. I kind of felt like I got some leverage, and when I actually got up to the surface, I let the line go slack a bit so maybe the fish can work its way out. And on this dive, I actually noticed the spear was up above where it was. It wasn't stuck like it was. And the cobia actually did work its way out from that bottom pipe that it was stuck on. So So here I'm just right above, or right under where that murk opens up the clear water. As you can see, I've got a good grasp on the spear. So something gave, and the fish did in fact become untangled from that bottom beam. But it's still stuck on something. I head up. But once again, I'm going to try to put some slack on that belt reel line and see if the fish will work its way out since it already made headway on its own. And somehow, thankfully, it comes free of the rig and I'm just able to pull it up by hand. I am very, very relieved at this point because I was starting to think that I was going to lose a $600 Polespear setup, which I was not looking forward to. So long story short, we land this cobia. Thankfully, we got it out because it was stuck on the bottom in that murk, as you guys can see. This is my first cobia on Polespear ever. Thankfully, it worked out. Wasn't the smoothest ordeal. Definitely could have been a lot easier if I just shot that thing with a spear gun in the dome earlier. But I figured shooting it with a Polespear would be a bit sportier. And it's something I've never done before, so thought that was pretty cool. Wasn't initially going to shoot it, but once I got that Polespear in my hand, it was tempting. And, you know, like I said, I wanted to shoot a cobia with a Polespear, so took my chance, presented a perfect shot.
Well, I wasn't going to shoot this cobia. I saw it earlier. I was very curious. But I got the Polespear in my hand, and I thought they were long gone. This thing swam right up, and if you can tell, that's a bigger cove than I thought. Wow. As you can tell, we got some souvenir coral. This was on the bottom, wrapped up. And the reel line is all jacked, but
He is bigger than I thought.
I mean, I knew it was a fat cobia, but
He was definitely fat when he came up to us earlier. I didn't know he was that long.
I didn't know it was that big. But I'm gonna try to get this thing. I really wasn't gonna shoot it, but Polespear in hand, looking at a delicious cobia. Like, you cannot beat cobia steaks. Okay, that is a lot bigger than I thought.
Yeah, he's a good cobia.
I thought it was like just a short and thick one. On the spear pole with a souvenir of some coral. I was actually getting really nervous about that because it felt like it was stuck, like under something. But somehow it kind of worked its way out and I was able to just pull it up finally after my third dive. All right, girl.
Ooh.
There's the boat angle of the Polespear Mayhem. First Polespear cobia. Like we were talking about, thought about passing this thing up earlier. Had the spear gun in my hand. Hunter could have shot it too, but got that Polespear, and the more I looked at this fish, the more I thought about cobia steaks. There's the top side, super thick, healthy fish. If you've never tried cobia, these are one of the most delicious fish in the ocean. Top tier. All right, update. Haven't done much topside talking. Been doing a lot of underwater filming, but we're gonna hit one more spot. We're actually at a pipe right now. I'm letting Hunter check it out, see if there's anything worth shooting. He still needs to get one more red snapper. But yeah, overall good day. Got a ling that I wasn't planning on shooting initially. And then so far 3 hammer red snapper. Okay, well, Hunter just threw his gun in the boat. He said a big one came up, so I just handed him one of my guns. And wind's definitely picking up. Getting a little bit choppy. So it's about time to head in. Wanted to leave a little bit earlier, but I feel like that always happens out here offshore. I can never leave a day. You know, I can never make a half day. I just want to stay out here longer and dive because there's so many things to do, so many things to see. All right, we made it back. Panga's all power washed and cleaned, pressure washed, whatever you want to call it. Fish bag is full. Let's see what we got. You guys know what we got, but I'll be able to see it all at once here. Ooh yeah, got a good slurry. If you're wondering why I got jacks, well, some people that I know want them, so that's why we have them. Look at that, red snapper. Red snapper one number 1. Mangrove snapper. Ooh, that's cold. Oh yeah, this is Hunter's sow, I think. Yeah. Oh, show. Donk. Ought to be one more red snapper in here. And a cobia, I forgot about that. Whew, it's too cold. Red snapper number 3. Dude, all of these snapper are hosses.
Oh.
Oh yeah. Move, Kate. Oh yeah, dude. There's a freaking cobra. I give her 45 all day, maybe bigger, probably bigger actually. Oh. Yeah. Cobra.
Well, I was gonna use this bucket for the.
Oh, just got slapped by a lake.
Your truck just got slapped by a lane.
That's fine.
I mean, that's a good red snapper right there, but this
This is a good one too.
that's a hammer. That's next to a big cobia too.
Where are these came? What are they?
Something about yellow labs and fish, but they are obsessed.
Kay won't really mess with them. She'll just.
Oh, really?
She'll look at them. Never mind.
Sadie just obsesses over
I know.
fish. Well, there you go. There's the haul for the day. Wasn't out there to really get a meat haul. Just wanted to go shoot some snapper. Got a bonus ling. But really, really good fish right there. First snapper trip of the summer.
Okay, well I don't have an official scale, but this will have to do. We'll get an idea roughly. This thing maxes out at I think 50 pounds. So let's find out what this cobra weighs. Oh shit. I'll lift it again and get a better number. About 48 pounds.
It's a good one.
Roughly. I mean, I don't know. This is a
Even still,
fish grip deal.
after losing some weight, I mean, that's a good fish.
I mean, now it says 50. Around there. Shoot, we almost didn't shoot a 50-pound ling.
We both sat there and just waved at it.
I mean, I knew it was big, but I was like, too easy with a spear.
No,
gun.
those are good steaks. Some other games are going out there.
On a Polespear, that's the first one ever. 50-pounder on a Polespear.
Go get it, Kate.
Got all the
What
rig
is that?
scratches on it.
What is that? She's so intrigued. She's like, wow. Let's see. I'm gonna put this cobra back. Oh, hey, no.
Yeah.
Never mind. I lied. Oh, here, I'm gonna.
There you go. Big ling, cobia. Had to get cleaned up. These things are one of my favorite to eat.
So for larger fish like cobia, I like to partition the fish up so it's easier for me to clean. So usually I'll just cut it into thirds. I'll make these cuts down the side of the fish like this, and then just run that knife along the backbone to get all the meat. I find I get a lot better fillets doing this. Everything is cleaner, and I'm also cutting the meat up at the same time as I'm filleting it. So here I actually get some of the throat as well. I didn't have a tool to cut through the bone, but still got a good section of it. And now let's cook some cobia.
Whenever I freeze bags and I don't have a vacuum sealer, I actually just saran wrap the fish really tightly, and then I'll put it in a Ziploc and actually dip it in a sink full of water so all the air pushes out of the Ziploc. So that's what we've got here. All right, we're at 300 degrees. Just put the fish in. Temp is 300. Just wrapped it in tin foil. You guys saw what we did. And now we wait. Well, the fish cooked quite a bit longer than I usually cook, but it's because the temperature was at 300 degrees and because the steak is so thick. But there's a peek at what we've got. Those onions almost caramelized in there. Meat looks like it's flaking. That right there looks delicious. Oh yeah. Here we go. Oh my gosh. Onions caramelized in the olive oil. Mmm. Look at that. That is delicious. I really like the tomato. Makes it a lot juicier. Overall, I would say I'm gonna keep putting tomato and onion in there because caramelized onion and then the cooked tomato just make it a little bit sweet and just make it super juicy. Mmm. It's like a gourmet meal right there. I'll tell you what, that is hard to beat for grilled fish.